Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday, and welcome once again to Series Recap. We're wrapping up another big week of action here in Series E, all across Apex Legends, Halo Infinite, and Guilty Gear Strive. We're going to talk about it all here today. It's been an exciting week of action, and I'm looking forward to digging deeper into all of the fun that we saw. So thank you so much for joining us. I've got a couple of special guests joining me on the show today. We'll have Kaisa in. We'll have the Alex Valle jumping in the studio to talk Guilty Gear Strive and more. So I hope you're looking forward to that, but let's get it underway. Series Recap is here.
And now we're seeing once again, just like Game 2, slow down, but Fury time and time again. And geez, they think they're winning it. Chances are they're winning it.
So he gets thirsted by Zera Tricky as Hacula's going to come around the corner with the spray, and now it's just one player alive over here, and this was...
Hey everyone, welcome to the Series E Week 11 Recap Show. I am Kaisa, joining Yeso to recap all the hottest games from this week.
Yeah, we're talking Apex Legends right now, and it was another fun week of play. I'm excited to be joined by you once again to talk about all of it, because I think there's a lot we can kind of dig into with what we saw just on Tuesday and Wednesday night alone, so I'm looking forward to it.
There were a lot of pretty exciting games on Open Night and also on Pro Night, some surprises, some upsets, some underdogs coming through, some pretty cool matches to dig deep into. Yeah,
definitely, and why don't we just take a look then first at some of the action we saw in this awesome little highlight package our friends put together.
Let's take a look. Hey everyone, welcome to Series E Week 11 of Apex Legends.
Them down to Flesh. They got knocked. They would have been out. Razor, however, maybe can go out themselves. Bursty still trying to stay alive right now with that Wraith Q. He's going to get fully aped on as well. Remember Dexterity? They are long gone. It starts to drop down. 4 squads left.
Dome down there. Vizio going to be playing the edge here as Oxygen and Black Hand are taking their own fight toe-to-toe. Fury coming through from the backside, putting in work with the Wingman. Tries to play that one back out with the P2020, and they still pull this one off. Of course, we're trying to get that last battery off as the zone begins to choke. He takes towards this little bit of a railing that he has available as he might be able to play around the backside, but nope, Oxygen, they sniffed that one out.
Oxygen down to just one member. It's not going to be their game, but it almost does get stalled out. Instead, it's Roller Fury is just doing so much work, but enemy needs to heal desperately, and Cruisin may be able to clutch it out once again. The Wingman not quite connecting, but he's got shield swaps on the inside.
Ooh, Cruisin sitting here on the door, waiting for Man to make his way forward. They're taken to Flesh. Now OBTV, though!
In this end game can pop off in a big way. Maybe see the redemption that they needed from last game where Excedrin again almost managed to clinch it.
Ooh, Philippine down there and then takes some hefty damages. This defensive bombardment is punishing Excedrin. Cruisin, Lee now down with no shield here. They're going to be forced to drop directly into the face of Philippine, but Intel are underneath the building here. Enemy to fall. Lee now on the rocks, hiding behind his teammate's shield. How long can he last as he pushed back into the zone? They might not know, but a defensive bombardment from Waka might do the job here.
Team Philippine, they might actually be able to do this. Desperately trying to finish off the kills. They're going again. Nice use of the Rising Q as Nerf do not want to go down to Vizio. They don't want to give this to another partnered squad, but there is fire in the water. And as we are down to our top 3,
Dome down.
Untouchable. They've got to go, but they're being full sent on as Nerf desperately refused to lose this game to Vizio, instead giving it up to Steamrollers for the win.
All those points aside, the Mobile One leaderboard brings much more apparent interest. We gotta check this one out. Was it Oxygen or was it Vizio?
Oh my god. Oh my god, by the 1 point. By the singular point.
Trying to rat this out for his squads.
Yeah, Cubsy's doing such a great job. Hal gets sent on from behind. They realize that he's there, but he's doing a decent amount of damage to this Excedrin squad. Gets potentially a knock onto enemy, and that could change the tide here for Team Razor. I mean, Razor's going to take full advantage of this. They have the advantage now with all 3 players looking extremely healthy, and just because they decide to send it on Hal, they get taken out.
That crossfire set up on that high ground. Now they have plenty of space to work with too, and you can see now the full push coming on out. They understand the situation. TSM are just in such a dominant spot. You just try and secure second place along with the kill points. Great push out from Exit, but here's TSM now with the 3v2 to try and get the win. They should happen, barring any miracles from the other side. And there's the next knock. One more to go. And TSM are going to walk away with the victory here. All these nades coming from. All right, pal, now's your time. You got to throw down that defensive environment bubble out here as they're going to go ahead to the opposite side of the map. Let TSM stack on top of each other. Tether doesn't really go out outside of that ring, unfortunately, but they defend the bubble so well here, forcing that one out now. They're going to try their best to survive, but it looks like TSM are going to get the back-to-back. And yeah, G just go ahead and full send it on over to start a fight. Oh my goodness. AIDS just decimates them now. Esports Arena only left up with Skittle Case here as he tries to stay alive with this gravity lift. Finds enough time to get that battery off at the very least, but no, he gets taken out, and it's going to be Atlanta Premier coming out on top of all of this. It's a 3v2 to finish things off. Start a fight, or trying their best here. They go ahead and fly on in with that gravity lift. Atlanta Premier putting down, oh my goodness, Onmu. 100 Thieves might actually be able to do it here, but both players end up going for the full reset. It's still down to a 1v1. Players still bleeding out on the ground. Might just try to bait that res, force him down early on. He does note him on the stairwell. He tags him first, pulls out the PK, gets some decent damage off, and nothing's been traded from Nano here. He tries to back away now as he hits that quick fast res, or the fake res, excuse me. Try and bait him out. Make sure that he can't get any heals off throughout all of this. Hitting the cell as he drops down now. And again, trying to fake that one out, forcing him out, making sure he doesn't go for that pet. He knows he has the HP advantage. Onmu just needs to connect big with 2 PK shots. That's a nice one, the 72, and hits him once more, brings him down to 10 HP, and there it is. The wingman to finish it all off. Let's check in with the Mobile One leaderboard for the final time tonight to see who ends up winning, and it is TSM by 4 points up against Renegades, who end up coming in second place. But Team Esports Arena, to be completely outdone, we're only 3 points behind Renegades throughout all of that.
A huge congratulations to TSM for winning Pro Night on Week 11 of Series E. They had a shaky start but pulled through strong right up until the end.
Yeah, honestly, really good showing from them, and shaky start with that first game, but they were pretty much lights out.
And welcome back. That was an insane highlight reel, especially the CLG 100 Thieves 2v3 at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I gave my thoughts on that play Wednesday night after it happened, so I will give, Cliff Notes version of it. Really, in the end, CLG has 3 players, 100 Thieves has 2. CLG shouldn't lose that. And I even said the other night, even if it's like a Hal and Verholst on the other side, you should still, with full ready bows and a man advantage, you shouldn't lose that fight. And ultimately, CLG walked away from that knowing that, right? They didn't come out of that and say, oh, this is fine. They definitely ended that game and went, damn, we should have won that. That's not how we want to finish it off. So, of course, hats off to 100 Thieves for making the play, but CLG kicking themselves after that one. And it's a team, as I said the other night, they still have a lot to work on. I think they are very much trending in the right direction. They've looked a lot better over the last 3 weeks than we had seen from them since the signing of that full roster. But there's still some kinks to be worked out there.
Definitely. I hope next week they don't have a finish like that or a game like that. And
that one's gonna sting. That one hurts. And granted, it's not ALGS, so it's not like there was that. It's not like that was a fight with tens of thousands of dollars on the line. But still, that is CLG wants to be in a position to have those kinds of fights be worth that kind of money. And these are the kind of kinks you need to iron out if you want to have those opportunities. So, CLG knows that. I don't need to beat up on them any further. And I have faith that they will improve and kind of iron out those mistakes. So.
I think so too. I think also you kind of have to play like every game is the big game, even though it takes a lot of, you know, like energy and focus and stuff like that, and definitely hard to keep up and a lot of, you know, stamina and endurance. But you got to win some of those fights. But anyway, is there anything that really surprised you this week with any of the games?
I would say I have 2 surprises. The first was on Tuesday night, and it was Oxygen being able to win open night without winning a single game, and it was really funny because we talked about it during the show, even before, because we made a point too, because I think we noticed after the 4th game, we're like, dang, Oxygen's actually doing really good. They're right in the mix of it. They've been playing really well tonight. We highlighted their stats, but even before that, we talked about, you know, you don't have to necessarily win a single game to win a night, right? You can finish, you know, as long as you're getting consistent high finishes and placements and putting a lot of kills on the board, that can be enough to win despite not winning a single game. And it was so funny that we had that discussion, not even like trying to prepare like this might happen with Oxygen, and then it ended up happening, of course, by a very slim margin with them just beating out Vizio by a single point. But that was that one was definitely a huge surprise for me. On Wednesday, the surprise was Renegades. We were talking a lot throughout the night and kind of setting up the storyline. It was, you know, Team Esports Arena versus TSM. TSM won 2 games. Team Esports Arena was looking really good. They were getting consistent top 5s. And it really felt like, all right, tonight's just the night of the 2 juggernauts. They're going to go at it. One of them's going to come out on top. The other will be second place. But then all of a sudden, we got into the back half of the night on Stormpoint. All of a sudden, Renegades were right in that mix themselves. And that's a team that I remember when the Renegades first signed their roster like 6 or 8 months ago. And I was really excited about that team. And then it felt like they weren't really delivering on the potential I had hoped for from them. And of course, they've made changes. Now they have Vaxlon into the team now. And it seems like they're kind of starting to hit their stride after these recent roster changes. And I'm hoping that we get to see the Renegades that I was hoping for when they initially signed their roster back during, you know, towards the tail end of Season 2 of Series E, because I think there's a lot of talent there. I really like Vaxlon. I've liked watching him play since he was back on CLG. So that was a surprise for me because I didn't expect Renegades to have those kinds of performances this early on since making these roster changes. But I think they look great, and I hope they can continue, like we talked about CLG, trending in the right direction, building those foundations, and starting to compete. Because it feels like when you look at the top end of North American competitive Apex, it feels pretty solved. It's TSM, Esports Arena, NRG, Sentinels, G2, like C9. Like those are your kind of 6 teams where you go into any event and you're like, yeah, I feel like I could bet on any of these teams and feel pretty confident they're going to finish towards the top of the standings. And with teams like Renegades and CLG hopefully figuring these things out, I think there's still a ways to go, right? There's still a gap there between themselves and a TSM or an NRG. But the more that they improve, the more questions I get to have about, dang, can these teams challenge for the top of the table on a consistent basis? And that's fun for me as a caster, us as commentators in general, for the fans, because, you know, nobody likes going into a tournament going, oh yeah, like, you know, Team X or Team Y are going to win, and that's pretty much it. You want to come in and go, dang, there's 20 teams playing, and 12 of them have a legitimate shot at winning it all.
It kind of reminds me of, you know, at the end of a football game where people know who's going to win and they just leave the stadium and no one wants to watch.
we're all picking up our stuff at the end of the third quarter. It's like, it's a 40-point lead.
But, you know, it doesn't make for an exciting game.
Sure.
And I'm sure a lot of these underdog teams kind of really want to feel like they have a fighting chance, and they do. I wonder if, you know, after playing against some of these, you know, teams that consistently score higher more often, they kind of figure out, they hopefully can figure out like maybe some holes in their strategy or a way to kind of, you know, fight through that. You know, even though if there is a skill gap, like hopefully they can overcome that and really, you know, strategize on how to break through.
Yeah, and it's part of what is important about Series E, and it's important, you know, not only for the Series E squads that are trying to break into that next level and get signed by these orgs, but also the pro teams that are maybe on the outside looking in when you consider the best in North America, like a CLG, a Renegades, you know, maybe an Atlanta Premier who won a game on Wednesday night. This is, you know, competitive Apex with some of the best teams in the world. You know, you can get the scrims, but this is the closest thing you're going to get to ALGS competition, is playing in matches that matter for points and money. right? This is not just practice.
Right.
There's cash on the line here. So, and it's important to take advantage of those opportunities to get that experience against these teams because, you know, if you look at some of the best teams in the world, like a TSM, like an NRG, or some of the, you know, the teams in EU, like Alliance and stuff, one of the big differences is like these guys have the gun skill, right? A lot of these top players are, you know, the margins are so slim in terms of their actual pure mechanical skill, but then it's just like, but do you have the experience, the knowledge, and the, you know, the strategical depth to be able to adapt and deal with these teams? And these matches are where you get that. That's where it happens. So it's important to come out and take advantage of these opportunities whenever you can.
Absolutely. Can we check out the leaderboard of this week's standings?
Yeah, I would love to look at the leaderboard for Series E. Of course, we talked a lot about some of the pro squads, but of course we are here mainly to talk about the Series E teams, and we can see that Team Vizio this week, thanks to their performances, the first team to cross that 1,000-point threshold, and they're feeling really comfortable right now. I mean, that is almost a 300-point lead over Team Intel, and while there's still a bit of time to go, it seems all but wrapped up that Vizio is going to be the Season 4 champions. And I would say, while I'm surprised at maybe how good they have been in terms of separating themselves from the pack, the one thing is it does seem to be a trend over the last few seasons that we have one team that just kind of pulls away from the pack, and then there's kind of a nice large gap. But I feel like the most interesting discussion really is second to fourth place. And I know we're going to dig into it a little bit later, but of course Intel has grabbed second place pretty firmly right now with about a 70-point lead over Nerf. It's actually 69 points, which is very nice. And you know, Nerf there has a bit of a buffer between themselves and Excedrin, but it seems like Excedrin has maybe stabilized just a little bit and can really hopefully start to challenge for that third place spot with Nerf, because of course they don't want to have to re-qualify for Series E. They'd love to hold on to their spot. And even Razor, who, you know, I was dogging on a little bit last Friday, right? They're not that far off, right?
No.
100 points it's not nothing, but that is not that large of a margin when you consider there's still 5-6 weeks of play ahead of us. So, you know, I think we're in for a very interesting end of the season, and it feels like anybody really has a shot at getting into the top 3.
Would you say that the point difference between these teams has been getting closer and closer? Because when I look at the leaderboard now, it doesn't seem like these teams are super far from each other, except for Team Vizio at the top versus Intel.
Yeah, I can't speak from having known, like, oh, this was the gap this week and this was the gap that week, last week. It does feel closer now than it did 3 weeks ago. Because I feel like 3 weeks ago I was looking at this going, yeah, like Razor's done, they're going to finish last place, especially because I wasn't really betting on significant improvements from the team that would help them close these gaps. But I think they've looked solid this week, a little bit last week. And yeah, I would say it's closer. And now it's just like, can any of these teams have those pop-off performances? Because we continue to see Vizio right at the top of the standings on open nights. And it's like, okay, Razor, if you want to get into the top 3, I need to see you at the top of the Mobile 1 leaderboard on a Tuesday night.
Right.
That's what's going to close that gap, because Intel and Nerf, especially Intel, is pretty consistently putting up good point totals. If you want to catch up, if you want to challenge that top 3, you know, it's not just about being you know, having a couple of okay nights. Like if you want to close a 100-point gap, you probably got to win an open night.
That's very true. I feel like consistently in open nights, I'm just hearing Team Vizio, Intel, Nerf, and even Excedrin in the top 5 or late game, you know, as the circle's close towards the end of the game. But Team Razor and Team Splash, I feel like not so much. You know, they have some good fights coming in there, but definitely not as consistently as the other sponsored teams, unfortunately. Yeah,
Splash, and of course Splash is, you know, continues to be in a difficult situation coming in the middle of the season, essentially, with this brand new roster. So, you know, at the very least, I hope they, you know, as we're talking about with like CLG and Renegades and these other teams, take you know, as much advantage of the opportunity as they can. Get that practice time, try and iron out some of the mistakes and all those kinds of things. And, you know, who knows? Again, I'm saying, you know, if Razor can challenge for third place, Splash can too. Splash is only 6 points behind them, so it's not. This is not outside of the realm of possibility. While I wouldn't necessarily bet on them making top 3, if it happened, I wouldn't be like, oh, wow, this is totally out of the blue, because they are very much in the mix. So we'll have to see how it shakes out.
We'll have to see. Shall we go into pick a side, or do you have any final notes?
Let's do our Week 12 predictions. I want to know who you have your eye on going into next week. I know who you picked last week. And is it going to be the same team? Are you going with the same prediction? You have your eye on the same squad?
So for this week, I picked Team Nerf, and they did all right, but definitely did not take the cake by any means. I would say, I feel like it's easy to predict that Vizio is just going to dominate again.
Sure. I wouldn't
blame
you. I wouldn't blame you if you're picking Vizio. I'm going to keep things interesting. I'm going to go with Excedrin. We highlighted them on the leaderboard, right? They're sitting in 4th place. There is not a huge gap. It's something like, I think it's something like 40 points or something like that between themselves and Nerf. And I would say if I'm Team Nerf, I'm probably sweating looking at that leaderboard thinking, dang, it felt like Excedrin was kind of bottoming out over the last few weeks. Like they really were kind of starting to fall towards the bottom of the standings. But you look at it now and it's just like Excedrin's right there. They're right behind Nerf, and I'm gonna have my eye on Excedrin. I think they had some good showings this week. We saw, one of the late games that they were involved in from Tuesday night, and I'm looking for them to build off of that performance and try and carry some of that momentum into next week, because you're running short on time. You really have to take advantage of every opportunity, and that has to start on Tuesday. So my eyes are definitely on Excedrin to try and have a good little bounce back performance and further threaten Nerf in the standings.
Ooh, I appreciate your hard work, Vizio, but it's always fun when things are shaken up a little bit.
Yeah. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. But you do want to play Pick a Side, so let's play a little bit of Pick a Side. If you guys haven't seen the show before, we do this every once in a while. I did it with Stella a little ways back. We have posed a few little hypothetical scenarios here, and each of us are going to have to, we're going to take turns picking one side, defending our position, and then the other has to defend the other side of the hypothetical scenario. So we'll start it off. I will let you pick for the first one. So our first little scenario is who is the true second best team in Series E? Your choices are Intel or Nerf.
My pick is going to be Nerf for the true second, even though they are 3rd right now.
Sure, that's okay.
I feel like there's a bit of a flame under them right now to be like, hey Nerf, you really got to kick it up into gear, else Team Excedrin is going to come in and take your 3rd place spot. So I think they're going to be revving it up as the weeks go on. Okay,
so you think like the high pressure that they're under, based on Excedrin kind of being right on their ass, like, it's going to light a fire under them, and
yeah, I feel like it's do or die if they want to keep their sponsorship title.
Okay.
So I'm with Team Nerf.
I respect that choice. I will, of course, then I will take Intel. I mean, I think this is a pretty easy argument for me to make. I think Intel has had, their highs have been higher than Nerf this season. They won Open Night the week prior to this. And that was the second Open Night they had won this season. So they have, in my opinion, looked like the stronger team over the last month. I also think they have a certain player on their team that, at least one of us will get to talk about momentarily, that I think is a bigger star, a bigger kind of carry for the squad than what Nerf brings to the table with their 3. So I'm leaning Intel, and I think just, the numbers maybe are on my side. I don't know.
Intel's looking good, but they have a lot to lose. You think they'll crack under the pressure of all eyes on Intel?
Nah. I think they were maybe cracking early on in the season, but Petty Boss recently stepped away from the team they brought in Capra, and I think Capra has filled in very well right off the bat. So despite Intel having a recent roster change, they have hit the ground running with this new 3rd. So I think Intel's in a very comfortable spot right now.
I am rooting for Team Nerf as a true number 2, but you'll have to prove it so the stats can back me up on this one.
Yeah. Kaiser's gonna be over here like, come on, Nerf, make me look good. I picked you guys.
I picked you.
Second one here is, who is your dark horse for Series E MVP? And I get to choose this first time. And I'm going to take Fearless, the player who I was already alluding to when talking about Nerf. Fearless is, I believe, just recently got into the top 5 in kills in Series E for this season. So Fearless has been very good and has been the standout performer for Intel since he joined the squad. And it seems like he's just kind of getting better and better as the season goes on, as he becomes more comfortable with the team. And I think, you know, not only the fact that Fearless has been so good on his own, but the fact that now Intel has been really starting to kind of make a splash on a lot of these nights, really build his case for MVP. You know, there's a reason it's a dark horse, because you could literally probably pick any of the players on Vizio and have like a solid MVP choice there.
Right.
But I think if there's somebody outside of Team Vizio that could challenge for it, I think it's Fearless.
I am going to pick, because I'm picking the other side, Nerf Turns, who I think, did Turns have 2 rat plays this week?
Yeah, Turns was definitely, like, if we were picking best rat, Turns will probably be the choice. We got to see him a few times the other night on the Wraith for sure.
Turns does have a lot of high placements with an average placement of 8.7 versus Fearless has an average placement of 10.3.
Oh.
So being a rat pays off.
Looks like somebody else brought some numbers to the table. Okay.
Turns does a little bit less damage than Fearless per game, but
okay.
I'm kind of rooting for, even though Intel has consistently, I guess, better stats-wise players, I am rooting for a kind of miracle on ice hockey scenario where it's really about the teamwork and not necessarily about individual stars on a team.
Okay.
So I think it also is important, you know, that there's a good team dynamic, and I guess maybe Turns' teammates need to step it up if Turns has been has been playing the rat game a little bit. But I think I do appreciate Turns' hustle.
So MVP in your heart.
MVP in my heart, yes.
Okay, I can respect that. Final pick a side here. Who will win next week's Pro Night? TSM or Team Esports Arena? It is your choice this time, guys.
As much as I love Esports Arena and Team Esports Arena, I'm going to go with TSM on this one. I mean, it's TSM, and TSM dominated Pro Night. Place, I think it was 17 or so in the first game, which everyone forget about that placement.
Yeah. It didn't matter.
It didn't matter because, as you said, they got their stride, and Storm Point on, they were doing a killer job.
I love it. Kaisa's defense is TSM. Do I really have to explain myself? and honestly, she's not entirely wrong. But I got Team Esports Arena on the other side, and they were, of course, right in the mix on Wednesday night. I think they only finished 7 points behind TSM for first place, and that is another squad who, if memory serves, didn't win a game on Wednesday night.
I don't think they did.
I don't think they did, and they were still right on TSM's heels. So I feel like Team Esports Arena has, like we saw from TSM after the Verholst move, taken some time to settle in with the new roster, of course bringing in Noct. But it seems like Noct has pretty seamlessly integrated with the roster at this point. I think Skittlecakes is one of the best number ones, like the best leading fragger in Apex right now. Like, it's crazy to say, but I think he's just insanely good. And the combination of he and Duplex together, IGLing for this team, they're just so good. And, you know, I think when you look at the fact that they can not win a game and be right on TSM's heels, I'm like, dang, they would just win one game, maybe win one more fight. They probably win. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable. I get why you're going with TSM there.
I mean,
but I think it's kind of maybe it's like the kind of comp out choice. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just trying to simp for Team Esports, and that might be all it is.
I mean, it's a good team to shrimp for, because we're streaming on Twitch.
Oh,
you
no, they don't care.
Your words.
They don't care. They put out that announcement, and then they never did anything about it, and they dropped it. We're fine. And I'm not calling anybody the other word. All right, I will leave that out of my the I word.
Oh, I
see. I won't mention that. We won't say it. But I'm loving on I'm loving my ESA boys. They're cracked.
And if anyone disagrees with us and our picks, there is a fantasy league every Tuesday and Wednesday night. I think
It's just Wednesdays.
Just Wednesday night. There is a fantasy league if you want to pick your favorite players. I picked Skittle Cakes this week, I think,
a good choice.
but I didn't win. But I
That's
do
okay.
agree with you that Skittle Cakes is a good one to pick.
I think we are going to have our results, by the way, of the fantasy league for this week at the end of the show. So if you guys competed, make sure to stick around. I think we have the results at the end of today's show. You know, it's a little tease for you.
Make sure you stick around. Make sure
Yeah.
you check that Twitter.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on this week of Apex? I know it was your first. You started with series recap.
I did.
Got kind of the broad overview. Now you were in the trenches Tuesday and Wednesday night. How was your first week?
It was super cool, and I think I'm looking forward to, as the weeks go on, just really following kind of each player's journeys and seeing, which start to stand out more or which kind of need to pick up the pace, and just kind of how the whole dynamics of everything changes week over week. I think I'm most excited for, and maybe I'll pick a player to shrimp for. I don't know why I can't say it. There's like a
It's fine. I'll say it. It's
censor list
okay.
on
It's okay. I'll be the one. I'll be the bad boy.
Production says, don't say that word. Anything else? Should we close out our Apex Legends segment?
I think we're good on Apex. I'm excited to talk about some Guilty Gear. I got Alex Valle here to come in and talk some shop with, and I'm looking forward to that. And you'll be back to talk some Halo at the end of the show. So
I will be back, so don't go anywhere. We're going to kick you to a commercial break and be back with Guilty Gear Strive.
Verses coming daily under pressure. Working on applying the scheme. The true style trademark is at the edge of your dreams. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. Your memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. Put the bars in the breaks. I'm talking one chance that was so good for the goal. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Go! Etc. I'm fading.
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
It's fruit refreshingly sweet, but without sugar, 0 calorie treat. Now all our top fresh flavored splash.
It's fruit freshen.
welcome back, everybody, as we continue series recap. And I've got in the studio with me the FGC legend, Alex Valle himself. Good to have you back in the studio. How are we doing today, my friend?
Dude, happy Friday as always.
Thank you.
It's,
You as well.
It's great. We start the games on Wednesday. The meat and potatoes still continues on Thursday.
Yes.
And then we can digest it all on Friday.
We can just kick back
Yeah.
and enjoy the show. Brian and I do have a lot we want to talk about
Yes.
today. But before we jump into that, I want to show you guys everything that went down in this week's action. So let's check out what we saw last night. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Series E Guilty Gear Strive. We're kicking off week number 11 here and super excited for the action to return for all of you. We are ready to go and kick off this bracket, so let's start it off. It's week 11 of Series E Guilty Gear Strive.
I gotta power him up. Whatever you're doing it right, because Idiosyncrasy is slaying all the Leos. He's the king of the jungle into the super. This should seal it and set him on set point. This is the sickest I have seen idiosyncrasy play. That could have been way better if he got
Oh
that.
no, he's gonna go. Oh, he still had the burst. He still had the burst, but now you've got to survive. Chip, the 6P.
He can still do it. James, he can still do it. Idiosyncrasy's got bar into the super.
Oh my God.
You
I
know
think
what
this
we
is
gotta
dead.
say.
I think this is
It's
dead. It's close enough to the wall. It might be close enough to the wall.
It will. Idiosyncrasy. The coin. Alpha Blade 6 in the red RC. The 6K didn't work this time, but Tempest trying to stay fine, has burst, but does not have a lot of health to play with. Right by the jump, and that's the yo!
The burst out of drop kick.
Nice anti right there. Gets the corner carry, doesn't get the hit though. Still can put Z on the pressure. There's the mix off the low. There you go. The DP hits the wall with the throw, but still has the pressure. We pause on whip. We still press the buttons. Solstice. Oh, you see him stagger step that dash in situation. Yo, Solstice. Can he seal this? Can he get the run back?
Traded. That's a great trade for Solstice because it gets a tap dust.
Grand Finals, Series E. Idiosyncrasy versus Solstice. Let's get it.
There's good pressure right now at the jump H. Of course, one of the furthest reaching jump attacks hits so far down. And look at this, Solstice with half life damage. But again, oh no, I think he will be able to kill him. He baits out the burst. All right, speaking of damage, Idiosyncrasy getting tons of damage. Did block the gold burst, didn't punish it in time, doesn't matter. Gets up there for the throw. Both swords are back now, so he's going to be able to try to keep this lockdown here. Oh, nice throw by Idiosyncrasy. This is huge. And he baits out the super. Gets the 2 hits, tries to go for the bite. Not going to happen. I felt like he was trying to bait the burst. Oh, no. I think he's dead.
Oh, no, he's
I
dead.
think he's dead.
He's definitely dead.
Solstice, tournament point. Can Idiosyncrasy bring this down? The final game, final round.
He's trying to, James. 5-8, trying to get in Fukio situation. Careful the one at the bottom. Can't do too much. He's going to stave that off. These 5Hs we see slow it down a bit. The burst of the distance. You know what happens. He gets that corner carry. 6K coming through. Close slash. You won't last. Get the knockdown. Look at the bar at the bottom for the extension. Fukio in. A bite. All right. Final game. Final round of the tournament.
Let's go. And a great start by Solstice. Not going to quite get the wall break, but he's going to get the throw. Important now. Idiosyncrasy's got to think about that throw. That's why he got caught by those lows. Look at this. He hasn't taken any damage yet. Idiosyncrasy needs the comeback of his life.
Gonna get the wall. The air right there. Lock him down to the ground. The backdash will fade away. The finesse and plus that will put him to rest. Solstice pushing piece with the perfect KO. Seals it for this week's Series E. Let's go. God, this game is tight.
With the comeback, was able to win it from the loser's bracket.
Cola bringing the hype in those last couple of rounds. Solstice took the victory on Thursday night in a really impressive run, beating Jonathan Tene twice, beating Flash, beating Bean, and then of course taking those 2 sets off of Idiosyncrasy in grand finals. That was a hell of a run, and Solstice is a player that you and I have talked quite a bit about throughout this season, because we've seen a lot of great results in the Wednesday Night Fights bracket and in outside events, and we were just kind of waiting, like, when is it coming to Thursday nights? And we finally got it last night.
Yeah, this is a typical, like, this is a typical story of climbing through the ranks of your local. Mm-hmm. And then you're like the best person in your local, but then you go to the big leagues, and then you're like, I do okay, but I can never, like, I'm like this plateau. Why is this happening? Why? And Solstice is, it's about time. Mm-hmm. You know, I think Solstice definitely has the skills, and it's just you're dealing with various top players all the time that are constantly evolving. You know, so we actually have not experienced this much practice with the level of players every week. Mm-hmm. Because typically, like in the older school days, I mean, even take it back 5-10 years, right? You're playing versus these best players mainly in the major events only.
Yeah, only
right?
when you can all get together in that one event, that one weekend.
Yeah, that one weekend. They're playing like probably every day of the week now, but where they culminate is on Thursday. So it's like, you gotta worry if your rival has been leveling up or not. And Solstice winning Wednesday night fights, many Wednesday night fights, finally takes one down. It was and for the reset as well. It's about time. That's all I can say. I'm so happy for Solstice.
Yeah,
Well
I think that's important to talk about how Solstice had to bounce back, losing to Ideo in winners finals, able to get that second win against Jonathan Tene in losers finals, and then comes in and dominated the first set. The first set was all Solstice in grands, and then seemed like Ideo found his stride again and forces the final round in that last game 5, and then you just see Solstice finally says like, all right, it's done. I'm just gonna perfect you real fast. We'll end the bracket here. That was an incredible finish, and hats off to Idiosyncrasy as well. Of course, about I think it was 4 weeks ago, won his first Thursday night bracket. Had a bit of a dip afterward. I think he 0-2'd actually the week after. But this was a really good run from Idiosyncrasy here as well, and he made that grand finals reset incredibly entertaining because it was so close.
Yeah, Idiosyncrasy, like I said earlier. It's been a huge roller coaster. He would just put Hotashi in losers for round 1.
Yeah, right.
Right, and then, but then like round 2 or round 3 gets put down in losers, and then makes a comeback top 3. But then it's just like right there, like and then it might go 0-2, and then the next tournament again beating like high caliber players that have won the tournament before, but then we don't see them. So it's like it's like a firecracker, you know. It's like you. How do you bet on someone like with that type of pseudo consistency?
Sure.
But this is a league now, right? This is a circuit. This is something that you're playing for points. The name of the game here is to be super consistent. And Idiosyncrasy is the time. We don't have that many events left.
Sure.
So this is the time where you got to win them all now.
Yeah, you got to scrap in for every point that you can get. Let's take a look at just the overall top 8 here and how everything shook out last night. You can see it all there. There's that 3-1 for Solstice against Bean, and Bean was looking good really last night. I mean, he takes a 3-0 against Tempest there in losers quarters, so it's not like Bean was necessarily having an off week. So that's a kind of a statement win there for Solstice. Idiosyncrasy as well, getting a 3-0 over Razo in the winners semifinals. I mean, there's a lot of pretty good statement victories here for a lot of different players just in this top 8 alone.
Yeah, for sure. And like Razo, even though Razo didn't get to like the top 3 as we would normally see Razo in, I mean, it's hard to get Razo under top 4. It's always a player to look after. Shine as well. Shine won the previous event, but just in pretty in the top, right? He's paid his dues.
Yeah.
Right. But again, you don't sleep, because there's 2 spots that are reserved to potentially get your for the sponsorship to carry on. But this is time. We only have a few more left. Like I said, Idiosyncrasy, Dawn, Solstice, they all got to step up. I mean, if the second spot is the only realistic spot to fight for, the time is now.
Yeah, let's look at that Series E leaderboard as well, because that is where we really, we get to the nitty gritty here, and that is the current state of our standing. So Solstice and Idiosyncrasy, thanks to their performances this week, jump up into the triple digits there. Solstice still just behind Idiosyncrasy, but things now getting a little more interesting, and they at least right now have their eyes set on Razo and Jonathan Tene, who are the closest. Shine feeling fairly comfortable at 250 points, but when you mention that Razo, it's hard to keep Razo outside of the top 4, and even Jonathan Tene over the last 6 weeks, it's been a very similar story for him as well. So there's still a good amount of work to be done, and as you mentioned, not a lot of time to do it, but at the very least, Idiosyncrasy and Solstice putting themselves firmly in that conversation to try and challenge for top 2 and hold on to that spot. And at the very least, even if they get relegated, you better watch out for those 2 when qualifiers coming around for season 2.
Yeah, it's a Shark Tank. The Shark Tank is happening now.
Yeah.
Look, I actually saw a post from Razo, kind of starting to see a little kink in the armor, saying, "Am I plateauing? I got 4th," and it's quite all right to think that way. But at the other side, you got to understand that they're all fighting for their lives now. And if maybe a counterpick character, maybe fully fleshing out that matchups that are giving you trouble. You know, like you gotta go hard on this. There's no more like, yeah, you know, I beat them last, you know, tournament or 2 tournaments ago, I should do all right. That mentality needs to get out of your mind. You actually need to go in the lab. You need to sit there for hours, however long it takes, to ensure the next time you play, next week, you will not lose. You know, that's where we're at right now. That's how serious it is.
Got to come into every one of those matchups fresh and trying to, you know, fight tooth and nail for every one of those wins. Oh, yeah. One thing I know you wanted to talk about today, and interesting enough, you guys had a little tweet out on the Level Up Live account. Are majors coming back? Are in-person events, locals, etc.? Are we returning to the FGC's roots once again? Are we coming back?
You know, well, first, you know, we got to ask, as a tournament organizer, you have to ask the community, like what they feel. Like it's been 2 years, you know, at least from our account, the Level Up account, we've asked during the pandemic, like, okay, you know, we're in pandemic. This was like a post in 2020, and like Q3 2020. Do you guys feel comfortable coming back in 2021, or at least play some at the end of 2020? And most of, you know, everybody's like, yeah, we're looking at 2021 or later. Okay, 2021 rolls around, give it like, you know, a few quarters in, because we see the situation is not getting better. Then we ask the same question, and everybody's still kind of like, yeah, probably the end of 2021 might look like it, or beginning of 2022. The latest question we asked now, are you guys ready for offline locals? And I believe, here, I got the results.
Some live results here. There we go. Okay.
So at least I asked SoCal. I didn't ask, you know, this SoCal, because, you know, this is what we could handle for offline. 61% of you said you guys are ready. Now, this is the first time we've had a tip of the percentage has been skewed to yes versus no. 22% said summer or later, and 16% said 2023. It used to be completely backwards, right? 2023 or the next year, everybody's kind of comfortable there. But it looks like, you know, more people are interested for offline locals. And you know what? I'm with you, because I'm looking at the great leaders out there. I'm not tooting our own horn here, but the leaders that are out there running major events, like Jabali was CEO last year. He ran over a 2,000, 3,000 plus, you know, major event.
Yep.
Okay, that's like one of the biggest events in the FGC, at least, right? Frosty Fossings, they also just held a huge major, right? Over 2,000 players. Okay. And then now we have more announcements of events coming back, like Texas Showdown's coming back this year, Combo Breakers coming back this year, Evo's coming back this year, right? So this is finally, there's light at the end of the tunnel, right? There's more events too that are unannounced, but I think like ECT and NEC and all those your favorite majors are coming back. You know, shout out to all those guys that have been truly adapting to COVID. You know, like they're making the safe spaces as much as possible. So we also have to adapt as players. I mean, we can't do all the work. It's up to you guys too. And out of respect to like people that do wear masks or don't wear masks, like it's an at the end of the day, it's an entertainment. It's a hobby, right? It's not you know, it's not a forced event. We still gotta play ball. You know, we still gotta play ball for our city regulations and guidelines, and for the safety of others, until we can slowly climb back to no masks. If when and then. You know?
I mean, ultimately, none of us want to wear them. It makes my beard itch. Gets hot. I don't want to wear it, but ultimately, if it will help protect me and others, you know I have people in my own family that are immunocompromised, so that's important. But it makes me happy that it does seem like we are getting closer and closer, and I think it's important that you highlight the events like CEO, like Frosty Faustings, especially because I think I know CEO had some people getting COVID afterwards, but I think Frosty Faustings was ran pretty darn well, and I didn't hear any sort of fallout after that. It seems like everybody was able to go to that event, have a good time, stay healthy afterwards, which is great. So it just means we are getting closer and closer, and I think you make a good point when you talk about, I think that's what, 84% of the folks in SoCal, at least that responded to that poll,
61
are well, but 84% that are in favor of sometime in 2021, this year. And I think that is a very important tipping point, that it seems like, you know, not only do they maybe feel like we're getting close to the right environment for it, but they're ready and they're willing and they want to go, and that desire is very much there. And it makes me excited because, you know, I've been to a handful of big FGC events. I know we did like Electric Cancel back in Santa Ana back in the day, or we had what was it, the Red Bull
Conquest.
Yeah. Red Bull Conquest. Like, these, you know, events are so much fun, and you get so many people from all different corners of the community and different corners of the nation coming out for these big events, and they're incredibly important to the culture and the history of the scene.
Yep.
And, you know, God knows people they're ready. You know, we haven't had those big events. Of course, CEO and Frosty Faustins were the first inklings of it coming back, and I'm certainly ready for it. And it's awesome to see that the community is hungry and seemingly ready for it as well.
Yeah, it's still gonna take some work, guys. I'm not here to make the announcement that we're all, you know, that we're gonna go. All right,
wait, I thought
let's next week we're gonna go ahead.
I thought we had an event coming, Alex. What's going?
No, I mean, as at least a responsible organizer.
Yes.
The first step is feedback. Okay. The next step is you take the feedback, review it with our team, right? We'll see which team is comfortable to come, because it's not like we can call everybody that we used to work with, because some are like, no, I'm not ready to come back to doing live events yet, you know, and we got to respect that. So it's a whole new world, and in the West Coast, at least in California, it's we're not like Florida, where you guys can pretty much do whatever you want, or Las Vegas, you guys can pretty much do what you want. Yeah. It's been a bit more conservative here. So for every region, to each their own. But, you know, we're learning of like what our scene wants, what's safe, what's, you know, that gray area, and then present something to you. So when the time is right, you know, when we have something to present you guys, we'll let you know. And you know what? It just with this feedback, it could be at any time. You know, even so, I say, hey, maybe not next week, but who knows? If there's an opportunity where we can tackle something, we'll let you know as soon as we can.
And I would say, at the very least, myself, Alex, us here at Esports Arena, everybody at Level Up Live are excited and happy to hear that the community desire is there, that they want it to come back. So that's awesome. So the answer is, are majors coming back?
Yeah.
Probably soon. Soon. The community wants it. I know we want it, and I'm excited about it. Alex, let's finish off with some predictions here. We've talked a lot about Solstice. We talked a little about IDEO, of course, the state of things on the leaderboard. Who do you have your eyes on going into next week?
Ooh, next week? Man, let's see here. I am going to, actually, I think Razo is going to make some noise, because every time Razo says something about the performance, I think that's like the fire that lights up with Razo to get there. But it's not going to be easy. I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be easy. Jonathan Tanay is right. He's like that little buzzing bee, like, yeah, you know, old man Vice says these guys, but no, I'm still here. But like, and Shine is all like, you know what? He may be able to afford a couple like low performances, but you don't want to play him. You still don't want to play him, right? So I think Razo is going to show that, like, I need to get back in the game, because I am who I am. I made the most points qualifying for these things. Now I got to show like why Shine and Razo, you know, they were the two highest point earners from the qualifiers.
Sure. And
for them to finish that way too, wow, you know, that's that. You know, as much as I want to see everybody level, Dawn, Idiosyncrasy, I want them to give everybody a challenge, because that's what we're here for. But I think Razo's the pick here.
I'm going to go with Jonathan Tanay. We've crossed off a bunch of names over the last 4 to 6 weeks in terms of Series E players getting that first Thursday night victory. And the only two remaining are Don and Jonathan Tanay. And Jonathan Tanay has been the closest. Has gotten into multiple grand finals, is that kind of consistent top 4 threat every single week. Of course, finished 3rd place last night after losing in losers finals to Solstice. My eyes are on Jonathan Tene to finally break through. We've seen Jonathan between like the Arc Riva West qualifiers and Series E in quite a few grand finals lately, and has not quite been able to get over the hump. I think he has it in him. I don't like doubt that he can do it, but it's just like, I need him to show me. I know the talent's there. And the other thing too is like, if you look at his resume over the last 6 weeks, the kind of players that he's beating fairly consistently, and then you add on the placements, he's so close, and I want to see him finally break through and grab that win. So I definitely have my eyes on Jonathan Tene. And I know you're a big fan of his. You talk about him a lot.
Of course.
Yeah.
I talk about it a lot. I said he was the dark horse in the beginning. He's that young kid that just like plays Otto, right? Nobody else plays Otto. So like you play multiple characters, so you have to adjust to what he's thinking. You know, he could be planning many things, right? That kid is the one that actually plans and is just so many things. Oh, I could have done this better. I can do this better. That's what a kid does. Like, it's just endless amount of information, and you're just gonna try it. When you're a little older, you've been through that phase, so it's just now you're a bit concerned now, making sure like that kid doesn't knock me down. Like, okay, slow down, young buck. You know, you gotta remember who I am still.
Sure.
But it's gonna be a close race between those two for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Definitely looking forward to how things finish out in the final weeks, because we're getting close to the end of the season here. But those are our predictions for next week. Let us know what you're thinking. Alex, always a pleasure to get to sit down with you, my friend. Thanks so much for coming to join me here. We're going to wrap up Guilty Gear now, but after a quick break, we'll be talking some Halo Infinite to close out series recap. So don't go far. We'll be back in a few.
Verses coming daily under pressure. Working on the plot and the scheme. The true style trademark is at the edge of your dreams. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. Your memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. Get the bars in the breaks. I'm talking one chance that was so close for the code. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
Still, in Pioneer's favor, it just gets dwindled down to the United one. I just have to point it out. Snakebite gonna come out on top, and now the damage has been done. G2's on their back. The series to go the distance, and that means Optic Gaming needs to wake up. It appears that they've started to do so.
Welcome back to the Series E recap. We're here to talk some Halo, but how is Guilty Gear Strive?
Guilty Gear was good. It's, you know, Alex is such a wealth of knowledge about the FGC, and he's so much fun to talk to all the time. So, you know, it's a pleasure, especially as someone who is definitely very green when it comes to the FGC and Guilty Gear Strive. It's awesome to have someone on the other side of me that is so, knows the FGC as a whole so well, and a lot of these players and how the scene operates. So it's awesome to get to pick his brain when he comes in. So that was great. An awesome little discussion about, Series E, about, the major discussion in the fighting scene. So I'm all about it. It's always cool.
Absolutely. He's such a legend and a wealth of knowledge, I'm sure, and it's super great that we have him on the recap show. But we are here to talk Halo Infinite and Week 1's games.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about, but the nice thing is before we do that, we can check out some highlights maybe? You got a little something for me?
Yeah, let's check out them highlights.
I'm so happy to welcome you for the very first time to Series E Halo Infinite.
Hello and welcome back to Esports Arena, your regularly scheduled programming. We're back with our weekly Esports Arena every single week. We got 2 of them a week, actually, Tony, so pretty exciting. Twice a week, we've got tournaments, exhibition matches, and a way to play and compete for $1,000. I can't wait. I can't wait to get into it. Quite get a kill. 6 kill deficit here. Still a shot for perfect evolution if they could stay up, but of course with Kratos and the wave, things can get a little dicey somehow.
So quickly and get in and out of situations as fast as possible as he whips out the sword. When in doubt, whip it out, taking down Sorrel, going in for the challenge on the Piggy. That's
sure, right? He's in bottom mid, not really the ideal spot to be with this snipe in tight corridors as well. Still finding ways to hit shot
out of the sight lines over from the that top railing. This is a power position, in my opinion, on this map that really doesn't have.
Reload can't win it. And those rockets, I believe, will go to Kratos. So X-Set with this one push.
Suspector still having that sniper rifle in hands.
Oh my!
4 bullets make that 3.
Does have his reticle placed out for the player up top. Instead, going to go for the 2 easy ones down below. That's 2 dead. Suspector, Suppress going to drop. That'll flip the map.
Already putting the pressure from across the map here on top mid. You're seeing Diagram sliding towards back B. Piggy ends up getting himself a double kill and earns a killing spree as well. 3
beat both PK and Fnatic back to back. That would be a hell of a spotlight. A precedent is set here. Of course, they still got work to do.
The black screen as Timber Esports approaching the 240 point mark.
Timber Esports getting very close to victory here, but things are looking rough. And now they've got some resources to work with. That's a snipe and a camo for Pelu, and a beautiful headshot onto Jazero.
IQ and a mean shot to match. Gets the purple the first one. The second one's gonna fall as well. That's gonna be a killing spree when he drops the triple. Now going in for the overkill. Septify is absolutely disgusting and is running this game. He's from, and the gold side of the map is not where they want to be spawning, because that's nade heaven and the pressure's still coming in.
Look at this pinch at a Fnatic collapsing on all sides here, using their numbers to their advantage. Of course, as it happens, somehow Sorrel, I think, picked up 2. Sword going to come in to ensure he doesn't get any more, though. That's a double for Jazero. Spawn linking like no shields, less than 1 shot. And he 4-shotted Kratos before he reacted and turned I don't know, man. Oh my God, it's still happening. I drift. Eli Elite, thankfully, and B to get the capture on it. Gotta win this fight, though. Tapping at a drop. Thanks to Eli. And if he stays up,
Aquarius, neither one of these teams are slowing down whatsoever. Often flag games in Halo Infinite will go into overtime or even go into a time, but I have a feeling this one simply will not.
They're getting full rounds of slays, knocking them back down to fridge spawn. And then when you're caught in that deficit, with not too many options, not too many angles, it's just so easy for the team to pinch and collapse. 3 dead once again, by the way, as I say it. We got Gold Star here, still alive, though. And because of it, he's still making plays. So tapping now dead, big line of defense. Took for a second here, that same snowball right back at him. Atso needs to stay up here. Nice little bank nade off the floor, and deletes Piggy because of it, and earns himself a double. Somehow Sorrel not looking both ways before he crossed the street there. The man getting shot in the back. And another kill off Atso too. So
Gambino trying to get into the PD, has a teammate with them with the Bulldog. Beautifully played by PK. Bringing one down to 1 shot, ends up putting shots on the second one. Something happened here. Jazero finally finding the overshield and clicks it right in the nick of time. Turns around and is able to take down Atso. That was really close as a 1-shot player over toward the palm trees. Easily dealt with a double kill.
Chat, I'm just going to need you guys to just blast chat with love for Shyway and Why Not. They were incredible today. So for myself, the entire live broadcast crew, to everybody here at Esports Arena. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us tonight.
By PK for, I want to say, 2 years, watching them back in Halo 5, but this is a different story with Infinite. Managed to get to the Rockets. At least Eli Elite has this, though. He will rotate directly into BR. Should be a big pickup. His weeks now ball in possession for Xset. They're starting to creep up with the time. Ball does trade hands. Somehow somebody sneaks in the tower, but not for long. A double for Arctic.
Beautiful opening here as they're continuing to rain down on the spawns. Cam will come up in 5 seconds, so we're going to see them momentarily slow down to get that. Or, firstly, just obviously didn't work. They did go 4 down, but if they keep playing unselfish like that, I'm sure it'll start to connect for them as Exit hit the 72nd point mark. Gold Star BR takes down Kratos, then gets himself a double kill. That ball now quickly being rotated, and Gold Star pops the overshield quick, and it now is working on the sniper rifle as well.
On the outside, they really limit the options of the team here. They can line up a couple versus Spectre to take down one. No, are you kidding? That's a double. And a triple, it takes 3.
Take advantage of some of these numbers. Drift gonna answer right back. Kane somehow gets the cleanup on Gambino. Meanwhile, on screen, off the screen, Drift takes down names. So a killing spree being off our first pro night of the season here. Common taking down tapping buttons, and now he wants to advance forward. He wants to make sure that this bomb tree is cleared out. That's gonna be it. It is now impossible.
No, wait.
I said, bro, they got it to be. They got it to B and A at the same time. They need to get the Spectre out of B at the moment. Kratos gonna try to provide some cover fire coming in here. The reset comes in. The contest is here to go down. The third one gonna fall here, and it looks like offense onto the utility side. Spectre not able to find one just yet, but getting information that he's the first one is gonna go down. Spectre ends up taking down the second one as well. It's gonna be a double kill as 3 down, make that a 4, a trip.
Still manages to survive, but it didn't account for Arctic in the camo.
Arctic might be Chris Common, but that was a super rare play right there. Putting Gambino down, despite Gambino having the camouflage. Wow. Missing that melee was crucial for him. Meanwhile, Nate hits his melees, gets himself a double kill. Let's
speak up whatsoever, by the way. Man's trying to do what he can to milk in the locker. He forced the player to go up there and deal with him. And just by staying alive like he did, he's given Arctic a playmaking opportunity. Arctic picks up 2 kills and maybe a little more. Look at the cheeky angle cross map here, trying to help suppress. And this is a team that has more reps, more experience, right? It's also the reason why I predicted them coming into the series. They're going to get the final kill, and they will lock down our 5th game in a dominant 50-31. Tony, it's a well-deserved win for Xset in our exhibition match.
And welcome back to the Halo Infinite portion of our series recap. What'd you think about those clips?
It was fun. The first week of Series E Halo Infinite, I feel like delivered. I think it is certainly only going to get better, but it was a very interesting kind of first week of play, and we got some interesting answers, I would say, about Esports Arena Blue, because I think we certainly came into this week with a lot of questions about them, and we learned some things, maybe some not quite so good things about them, but learning is a good thing regardless.
It is a good thing, and it is week 1, so I'm sure a lot of these teams are, really trying to solidify their footing here. Can I ask, what things do you think they learned?
So coming into the season, talking on draft day, talking series recap last week, we've kind of highlighted as, Blue was kind of little brother to Esports Arena Red. Of course, Esports Arena Red had the big debut at HCS Anaheim and have had a lot of hype around them, and it was kind of like, we got to put some hype on Blue, and I still agree with that. At the same time, I think what we saw in their play, and they had a good night on Monday, to be clear. Like, they finished, I think they ended up in 4th. I think what we've seen between how they finished on Monday, the one set we saw from them on Wednesday, as well as some stuff in HCS Open Series yesterday, is they've still got some things to work on, and very specifically, I think there is rightfully so a gap in expectations between themselves and Esports Arena Red. Now, when I look at the talent level, and I have a lot of faith. I think the players on Blue are very good and have very high ceilings. I think there is, similar to some of the things we were talking about in Apex, some mistakes to iron out on the team and some things to clean up for the squad that will help them close that gap. But I would say it would seem that if a lot of people were saying Esports Arena Red is like the definitive better team out of the two right now, I would say that is a fair and honest assessment. But I would say, given 8 weeks of play, that Blue can very much close that gap and possibly even jump ahead of Red. So it just is going to take some time. But I would say the early returns, I was impressed with some of their sets on Monday. They didn't finish as strong as I would hope. And then I would say a very rough set against Xset on Wednesday night. It seemed like they were going to battle back with their performance in game 2, but they kind of sputtered out after that one game that they won.
They did. I feel like we all had high hopes for Esports Arena. Blue, again, it is still early on, but I feel like they lost a good handful of games. At one point, I heard the caster say Xset had a clean game against Esports Arena Blue with an 11 kill gap, and I was just like, Esports Arena Blue. It wasn't a total stomp throughout the whole thing. Sure. I feel like they held their own and they put up a good fight, but I feel like it wasn't quite at the level that that they could be playing at.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, I would say the transitive property doesn't work as well in esports. People try to apply it, and it isn't as good, because you could look at it and be like, oh, well, like, Esports Arena Red beat up Oxygen at Anaheim, and then Oxygen played a tight set with Xset on Wednesday, and Xset kind of bodied Esports Arena Blue that same day. So, like, by the transitive property of esports, there's a big gap there. It obviously does not work that way.
Right.
There's so many different factors that go into it. But I would say, regardless of that, I would agree that they had some good games. There are positives to build on. I just think there's work to do, and I think that's fine. You know, when you look at Series Z, I don't expect teams to come in and be incredible off the start. I would very much expect a lot of teams. Like, I would say Esports Arena Red is more of an anomaly than the norm in terms of how good they were right off the bat. So I think it is entirely fine that ESA Blue has some growing to do. That is part of what Series E is about, to give them that opportunity, to give them those options and availabilities to play against some of these top teams and compete and learn from those experiences. So I think it's totally fine, you know? And I think the future is incredibly bright for this roster. I was, on a little bit of hopium, that I was like, dang, I would love to see ESA Blue come out, especially because we didn't have the opportunity to see Red this week. I thought it was a perfect chance for them to come out and like scorch the competition and be like, you guys all love Red, but we're the best, and something like that. And I was really hoping for it, and while they didn't deliver on it, I think the future is super, super bright for that roster. There's a lot of incredibly good players on that team, and I know, especially when you look at the fact that HGS Kansas City is coming at the end of next month, I think Blue can be very, very ready and can compete and do some great things at that tournament, and I'm hoping they will. I have faith.
I think so too. They have some time to get ready, and during draft day they came out guns blazing with their enthusiasm, with their confidence. They were ready to win. They were saying they could take down Esports Arena Red. I don't know if that's true, but I believe, and I think an attitude is a good start to get there.
Yeah, definitely. I do also want to highlight, of course, we've talked a little bit about Monday and Wednesday night for Blue specifically, and do want to point out, of course, Fnatic did win on Monday. They were really good, honestly, just from start to finish, and PK, who I expected to really give kind of Fnatic a run for their money, was, in my opinion, not nearly as big of a challenge to Fnatic. They handled them, honestly, pretty darn well on Monday night. And then going into Wednesday as well, Xset, of course, won it all. Hats off to Oxygen as well. They've made some roster changes since what went down in Anaheim, and they seem to be working well because they played a very tight set. I honestly, after how game 3 and 4 went, I was kind of leaning towards Oxygen in that last game. Of course, Xset pulled it out, but I was very impressed because I had certainly much lower expectations from Oxygen going into this, but beating PK is really impressive, and taking Xset to 5 games is really good, so they have a lot to feel good about. What I really want to get into is the HCS Open Series specifically because ESA Red and Blue played against them.
They did. So we're going to take a look at this, the Invitational Bracket. We had the Pittsburgh Knights against Oxygen Esports, and Oxygen did win out of the two, and then XSET versus Esports Arena Blue, beating them 3-1 to have Oxygen Esports and XSET battle it out to Game 5. XSET ultimately took the win in what was a pretty neck-and-neck match. I felt like both teams were really fighting it out, trying to get the edge on the other. Throughout kind of the whole bracket, XSET had some great sandbox performance. You know, they were working really well with their weapons and their items, and also I felt like had really good map control in terms of where they were picking fights with Oxygen.
Yeah, honestly, was a really good set, but I do want to talk about HCS Open Series when we saw Red and Blue playing against each other, because very specifically, we got to see the matchup in, I believe it was losers round 5. Yeah, that is what I have on my notes. I wrote it down for a reason, but Esports Arena Red takes the 3-1 win. So that was the first time we've actually gotten to see these teams play against each other under the Esports Arena banner. And honestly, just really well played. Red looking really good. They move on. Of course, sadly, Esports Arena Red did end up falling to G2 in the next round, which was losers quarterfinals, and G2 just seems to kind of be the kryptonite of Esports Arena Red right now. They got 3-0'd by them in Anaheim. They got 2-0'd by them in the winner's side of the bracket in the HCS Open, and then of course got 3-0'd in that final match in losers. So like G2 seems to be like Esports Arena Red's kryptonite right now, which is crazy because I think when you look at the partnered squads in Halo Infinite right now, a lot of folks look at G2 as kind of one of the weaker rosters of that group of teams. And when you think about the fact that Esports Arena has been able to take games off of United, which is considered kind of one of the top teams in there, crush Space Station, and beat teams like Oxygen, and take games off of Sentinels and Cloud9, you would look at that G2 matchup and think, dang, this should probably be a set that like Esports Arena should be able to win fairly consistently. Right. But the fact that they are 0-8 in their last 8 maps against G2, a little concerning. Maybe it's a bit of a stylistic matchup. Maybe they're just like, dang, G2's so sick. This, I don't know, we can't beat them. But I would love to see Esports Arena Red kind of figure that one out, because that feels to me like a team that Red should be able to challenge, and the fact that they haven't won any of the last 8 maps against them is concerning for me.
That is pretty big. It sounds like, it seems like G2 is a real big thorn in their side, and I feel like they're going to have to figure out how to actually beat G2 in order to move on and progress, because it's not a good sign if they're always losing to G2, and I'm sure that's not great for morale. If you
just avoid them in the bracket, I guess.
Just don't play them. Just somehow not play G2. So I hope they do figure that out going forwards, because they're an incredible team, and I think that they really should be able to, and I think they can do it, but I'm sure it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of studying plays and some VODs of their games. Yeah,
definitely a little VOD review, I would say, in the future for both teams. And I think they both have a good sample of sets against some top squads to look back, review, and learn from here over the last week. So we'll have to see what they can do. As we get ready to wrap up here, any final thoughts on kind of Halo Infinite, on this week of Series E, your first full week here?
So the games are sick. My one question is, but where can I watch HCS matches? Because I love Halo. I played Halo 1.
HCS team. Kai's calling you out.
I would love to check out, hey, there are a bunch of HCS games. Where were those?
Yeah, the players, I think, are on your side as well. There was a lot of complaints last week. I didn't see as many this week, but it seems like maybe they all got it out of their system a week prior. But yeah, I would agree. I would like to have an easier time knowing where the HCS Open shows are going to live. So I don't know. We'll have to, our people will talk to their people, I guess. We love the HCS squad. This is all jazz. We know we're good friends. We love you guys. You're awesome supporters of ours.
I want to support you. I want to watch the games.
Yes.
I want to be up to date on everything. For now, I'll just scroll Twitter to see what's up with that.
Yeah, we'll just follow Rami and all them to get the results as they come out. But yeah, it was a really fun week of games, and I'm looking forward to next week. Of course, the action only continues next week. I mean, we got a full. It's crazy to think about.
Full week.
A full
Big
week. We got
for you.
Halo on Monday night, Apex on Tuesday, Halo and Apex on Wednesday, Guilty Gear on Thursday, Series recap on Friday. You're not going to want to miss out on any of it, honestly. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us here on Twitch. Subscribe. Make sure you guys have your notifications turned on so you know when we're going live. Come and hang out with Kaisa and I while we talk shop about Apex. You'll be back, of course, on Tuesday. So it's been awesome. So much fun to be hanging out with you again.
It's been awesome to be here. I can't wait till next week. I have a feeling we're going to see some crazy plays next week. Fingers crossed.
I think we're going to get some good stuff. I think we do have a fantasy update for you all. Production will let me know as we wrap this show here. They'll give me a thumbs up. They say ready to go. So as we go, we're closing the show here. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you from Kaisa and myself and the entire production team. But we do have a little fantasy update for you guys if you're playing. Make sure to come and compete next week as well. Follow us on Twitter for the information you need. But let's see how things went down with the Series E Fantasy League this past week.
Hi everyone, this is Catalyst Kim. I run the Fantasy League here at Esports Arena. In order to sign up, you just go to twitter.com/esportsarena before every Series E, and you choose a certain amount of players. You get points based on their performance, and the best scores at the end of the night get basically accumulated. At the end of the season, the top score at the end of it all get a special prize. So these are the winners of last week's Series E Fantasy League. We reveal it here in Series Recap every Friday, and I hope to see you guys next Fantasy League.